Oh, son. Give me a phone. Come here. Are you kidding me? Come on. This thing sucks. Oh my God. Come on. Alright. Now we're good. Let's get Jesus on. Hello? Hello? Jesus? Jesus, can you hear me? Hold up. What the hell did I do? Jesus. Jesus. You gotta be kidding me. Hello? Hello? Jesus. What the fuck is going on? Sorry guys, I'm trying to... I don't know what the fuck's going on. Okay, microphone, cable input. How the fuck is that possible? Kidding me. Alright, how do you not hear me?
Hello?
Hello?
I can hear you now.
Alright, give me just 1 second.
Cool.
The fuck? I'm not hearing you through my headphones, I'm hearing you through the laptop.
Really?
It's odd.
That is quite odd.
Okay. Come on. Come on. Usually the message pops up saying you just plug something in. What did you plug in? And it's not popping up. It's about damn time. Okay, can you hear me?
Yes, I can. Can you?
Yes, I can.
Yay.
Yay, okay. Let's get this show on the road.
Cool.
Playing the entrance music.
Cool.
Welcome to the Drew Yari Show.
Alright guys, welcome to the show. It's Sunday, June 24th, 5:53 p.m. I'm your host as always, Yari, and with me returning is my guest host.
Hey guys, it's Jesus of Texas. Thank you for having me, Drew.
Thank you for returning to the show.
Anytime.
Alright, so how you been, man?
I have been better. As you notice, I haven't been around for a while, but definitely, hopefully things get better, but I won't actually know that until next week. But then again, I just tell myself that every week.
I mean, you don't have to say it, but what do you mean by next week?
Well, that my dogs started barking, but more specifically, there's just a lot of stuff been going on, like with my family the last month. Just being in the hospital myself. I remember telling the story being in the hospital myself, but my sister as well. So, just dealing with those things, like dealing with my sister's car getting finally, what is it called, totaled by the insurance company. So that was a deal in itself. So we're actually supposed to go to Disney on July 5th. We're leaving. We always drive, so it adds like a little bit of time, that I would need off. And basically, the place I work at has been kind of iffy with me as far as whether or not they approve the days. Deep down, I know they're trying their best, but I think it feels more of a game. If they're not going to approve the time, then it would be fair for me to know right now so I can make arrangements of some kind, Mm-hmm. I've spoken with my family about it. They know that I love working at the company I'm at, and I have not left it for 11, 12 years now. So I've been there quite some time, but sometimes I guess that means nothing, not to, talk anything about it. But definitely it feels, I feel saddened that this is actually having to go on, I'm going to state my case and everything, and I could only leave it up to God, basically, to approve or not, In speaking with my family, I thought about, perhaps maybe this being the end of a career. Just because, not because I'm not getting what I want, but the trips I take are more important now. They're not frivolous. They're not selfish. I don't think. I think maybe people see them that way, especially people that don't really know me, that are, on the outside looking in. Perhaps I'm not sure what their motivations are when they look at me or they see what I'm doing. But I hadn't been on a family vacation. I used to go every year when I was a child and went up to, I guess, high school.
Yeah.
And when I got to college, I stopped going basically when I started really being invested in the company that I'm in. And I would give up my summers because I knew, I was like, no, I can't ask for it, and they wouldn't approve it anyways. I'll just stay home. Like, I gave up many years of time with my family, memories that they have of going on trips without me, And so when my mom became very ill, like 3 years ago, I told myself, you know what, I need to be there with them and have these memories. There's no going back. And, she's, I've been healthy, but still, like, and I think what drove it home was, when she was in the hospital again this year, and it was very, she had a life-threatening condition, and she almost died as well, in the ER, and she was in the ICU for a long time. It just drove it home. Like, there's no time that I will get back. This is, you know what I mean? There is no time that is more worth it to me than to be with my family. And I would hope that a place that I invested many years would understand that. But sometimes when you're in it, you feel like no one's hearing you anymore. I hope that's not the case. I know I have people that I love and trust there, and that they care. They really do care about me and my situation. However, I think sometimes you can't help but feeling down about things or attacked by things, and it's just that. And I say that because basically I'll be going or not. I'll be going or going. That's what I have to say. Either returning to a job or being suspended. I'm not sure what the consequences are for not showing up. I'm sure they're not good. But definitely,
I've heard some things.
Yes, I've heard some things too. So it's nothing malicious I don't think, on my part or on theirs. It's saddening to me if something were to happen where I could not continue there. Like I said, I am fighting tooth and nail to prove to them why that I asked for the time to begin with, and why it was in the way it was done. And I would hope that they hear every word I say, and I could only ever hope that someone does that. I can't make them do anything they can't do. You know what I mean? Which is sad, but yeah, that's why I said, like, I can't wait for next week. But, I've been waiting and not helping my nerves or depression, but definitely I've just been on standby. Not that I can change anything that's going to happen. It just sucks.
So Jurassic World 2. I'm playing. Yeah, man. Yeah, we invited him to the before we get into this review.
Yeah.
I personally invited him to go with us on Friday. Much to my knowledge, he already saw it before we saw it, which I wasn't mad about. But yeah, I invited Jesus because he's our friend, he's our boy, he's my boy, and I just wanted him to feel better, and then I made sweet love to him after movies.
You know how to make me happy.
Oh yes, I do. But yeah, man, you just got to do you. I wouldn't blame you if you left the company.
Yeah, I know. Like, I'm telling you, I literally had serious conversations with my family about it. Thank you for inviting me to the movies. Jurassic Park, anything makes me happy. So I'm one of those fools that I know we're going to get into it, but that the critics say that will, buy anything with the T-Rex on it. Count me in, because that's me. But at the end of the day, like, you have to find what makes you happy and do more of it. And if that makes me happy, if that helps not cure anything that I'm going through, but alleviates any sadness or whatever that I may be experiencing, then that is what I'm gonna do.
Yeah, I always say just do it. Do what makes you happy, even if
Exactly.
it's not always the right decision. You have to do it.
Exactly, because at the end, it's you and your decisions that you make.
Man, this episode's like really deep.
Because the movie was just so deep, we have to make sure that the audience is ready for this conversation.
We're doing a review about a movie about fake imaginary dinosaurs, and I think the viewers are just like either really down or feeling uplifting.
It's just mood.
No, that's good. But now I'm just like, wow, I don't even want to do the review anymore. Fuck.
Damn, no.
I just want to go drive out into the desert and just sit on my car and just look out into the sky.
I'm here for Jurassic World: Fallen Kingdom, and a little bit of sadness.
Oh yeah, there's some plenty sad moments in this movie.
Yes.
So yeah, how these movie reviews usually work out is I usually have the microphone fell. I usually have Devin on, when we're doing the Marvel reviews. How this usually works is that we'll both take turns. I'll do one half, you do the other half. And if you feel like you can't talk, too much, or if you just want to take a break, just let me know. I'll take over, and vice versa.
Mm-hmm.
So, did you want to begin, Jesus, or did you want me to?
You're gonna chronologically go through the movie and get to a midway point, or you're just gonna talk about everything you thought?
I'm just gonna get to a midway point, and then I'll tag you in, and you just finish up the rest, or vice versa.
I don't know if I want to do the beginning or end. What do you prefer?
I prefer to start from the beginning.
Okay, then you can start.
Okay, so Jurassic World 2, which is literally the same thing as Jurassic Park 2 with Jeff Goldblum, except it has Chris Pratt, and Chris Pratt doesn't have a black daughter with Julianne Moore.
That never existed now, okay? We're in a different universe.
Whatever, I remember it, so that's all that matters. Anyways, the movie begins, which I think is probably the scariest part of the movie, is it's conveniently raining and it's thundering, which it always has to in a monster movie or a scary movie of any kind. And they're trying to find dino bones, dino DNA, what have you. And you just see these two guys in that little glass bubble machine thing. They're in the tank with what is that thing called? It looks like it's like a giant alligator or whatever.
Mosasaurus.
There you go. They're in that tank, and the dude's scared. One of the dudes is scared, and the other guy goes, "Hey, don't worry. They're probably all dead by now." There's this great shot of the silhouette of the Mosasaurus. When the lightning goes off, all of a sudden you see the Mosasaurus at the top of the pool. They get a bone from a dead Indominus Rex. As they're pulling out and about to go back to the top, you see the Mosasaurus' mouth open and eats them. Which I'm not sure if they should be eating glass and metal, but that's just me. You get to the top and you see the random dude in a raincoat who's trying to set up the machinery and whatever. Do you have a fan on?
Yes, I do.
Okay, alright. I'm just asking. You see the random dude in a raincoat. He's trying to fix the machinery and the communications and shit. And you see another silhouette of a T-Rex. And the guys in the helicopter are trying to say, "Get in." And he's doing the typical stupid guy in a horror movie going, "What?" Which, okay, Jesus, say we're out in the rain I'm in a helicopter and you're trying to set up the electronics, communications, or whatever. And I'm saying get in, and I'm doing the motion of get in. What would you automatically assume I'm saying? If you can't hear me, what do you think I'm saying?
I would think you're saying, you're doing a bad job.
Okay, then you're gonna die. T-Rex is gonna eat you. So yeah, the T-Rex comes out, chases the dude. They throw out the ladder to him, and the guy jumps on the ladder. You think he's flying away, but he's still in vicinity of the fucking pool, which I'm like, dude, stop celebrating and climb in the helicopter. The Mosasaurus comes up and eats the dude whole, and they just fly away. Which cuts to like actual news outlets like BBC America or BBC London talking about how the island that the dinosaurs are on is endangered because the volcano will erupt. So they need to get those volcanoes off, and then you see Jeff Goldblum in pretty much his only scene in the movie. Well, he has two scenes, which we'll get to later on. But we'll just not. I mean, spoiler alert. Anyone who's listening to this hasn't seen it yet. Spoiler alert. You might want to back out now. The scene in the trailer where he's talking that's his scene. So Jeff Goldblum's talking, and cut to Bryce Dallas Howard, who's running her own like dinosaur Save the Dinosaurs thingy. And they announce on the news that they're not going to save the dinosaurs. So she gets a call from somebody who used to work with John Hammond, who actually started the whole, who actually was going to start the whole, Jurassic Park, like originally. He gets brought over to this rich dude's house. Automatically, you already know this guy's a bad guy. When I saw, what's his name? James something. He was in American Horror Story, the second season. I forget his name. He always plays a bad guy in something. When I saw him, I'm like, he's gonna be a bad guy somehow. And then the other dude who was his assistant, I'm like, he's a bad guy somehow, because this rich company is not gonna want to save these dinosaurs. So this random dude, who his name is Eli. At first, I thought he was the little kid in the first movie, the little boy. I thought that was him for some reason, but it's not. So he tells Bryce Dallas Howard, "Listen, nobody knows this park as good as you do. So I want you to go help save these dinosaurs. But I think you might need help." Enter Chris Pratt, who's living in a trailer and I guess building houses or his own house. And she's trying to guilt trip him into coming back, saying, Blue's there. They need Blue. And Blue's apparently the lesser of kind. And, he's doing the whole, well, then maybe they have to die. And then she goes, well, there's a plane tomorrow, so you can come if you want. Which that's really not what they say. I'm just kind of like paraphrasing. They get to the plane and Chris Pratt is already in the plane. I guess he knew where it was and decided to meet him there. They take off in the plane. It's Chris Pratt, it's Bryce Dallas Howard, and it's two random people, which the other two random people, the other two like supporting guest stars, I didn't really care for. It just seemed like they didn't really add anything to the movie. You're allowed to give an opinion. It's not just me talking.
Oh, I want to hear you say it, and then I'll say what I think.
All right, what did you think about the supporting cast?
I feel like the girl was good. The guy could have been better.
The guy, I saw him. I'm like, I kind of want him dead.
I think they were going for a discount or whatever. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
In both. But the funny thing is, and I was going to point this out to you at the movies, is that there was a girl literally dressed like that actress, and looked exactly the same. So yeah. I don't know, maybe it was some serendipitous coincidence, but I think that she did her part okay, and I think that they knew that this other guy wasn't just keeping up with the jokes. So there is a time in a movie where he kind of disappears for a while.
Yeah, it's just, I don't know. Like, that character was annoying. It was just, and then him constantly screaming every 5 minutes. Because, of course, in these disaster movies, they have to have the guy who's afraid of everything, and he's OCD, and he's a mitochondriac, and he has to wash his hands every 5 minutes. So, and then you have to add the smart girl who doesn't need a man.
She's a strong, independent woman, okay?
Well, I mean, the talk apparently was that her character was gay, and then they cut that scene out.
I mean, I can see that, but as far as character development, unless they cut like a lot of the movie out, if she had like one little scene, it's kind of like the whole Beauty and the Beast thing, right? They hardly set up the fact that he's gay, perhaps. But I rewatched it actually recently, and they kind of maybe have like 2 or 3 scenes that maybe like they make eye contact with each other. They get the 2 guys in the movie. What's his name? LeFou, and then the random from the town.
Yeah.
But in this movie, unless they cut like other scenes where they hint at it, there's really no hints. So if there was like some like scene where she, I don't know, gets some other girl's number or kisses some other girl, or like the guy's like tries to hit on her and she's like, I'm gay or something, then it just would have been kind of like a joke that you can tell they just inserted there for no reason, because there is no development of that in the movie.
Isn't that kind of offensive where it's like, oh, she's smart, she's brainy, she's witty, she's sassy, let's make her gay.
Yeah, and I think the joke would have been like in the first movie where the guy hugs the girl and she's like, I have a boyfriend. Like that. Yeah. Like there was absolutely no setup, and that's why he kind of jokes, I guess, in the film. He's like, you never talked about him. And she's like, that's work. And it's kind of like that. Like that joke, I get it, but it would have been even more unnecessary in this movie if it was about her being a lesbian.
I don't know. It's that SJW bullshit, up to its finest. It's like we need more LGBTQ, LMNOP, SXYS, WYZ characters.
Perhaps. I mean, I'm sure like people want to see representation in movies, and especially movies that representation, I think, is where it should be, right? We're living in modern times. Like Jurassic World is taking place like in an alternate universe in modern times where where it's a real thing. So you would want to see like, people that are like you. I think what I haven't seen a lot is non-stereotypical Hispanics in movies. Like, I don't want to get into that big old discussion, but what I haven't really seen, especially in a Jurassic Park movie that does take place like in Costa Rica or, in LA, non-stereotypical Hispanic people. So, I will say that, I guess, without getting further into that conversation.
Este rapper. That was a bad Mexican accent, I'm sorry.
but literally, like, if you watch the first one, it's just like where he bets money that he's gonna fall. Like that's a little joke. If you understand. I think they translate it, but if you understand Spanish, it's funnier. Or it's literally that. Like those little things. But so you can see representation, yes, but you want to see people that are like you, and you're not like that all the time.
I get that, but it just seems like they're adding these characters for the sake of adding them.
Well, yeah, at the end of the day, the money is the motive, and I think that's why we end up with those 2 sub-characters, where one's supposed to be awkward, one's supposed to be a funny woman. I like both characters in the basics of who the characters were supposed to be in the film. I think they could have been cast differently, perhaps, or developed a little different, especially the guy. I think the girl was well developed. She understood what she was doing. I think the fact that she was a what did she call herself? Basically a dinosaur vet. She basically called herself that, but she'd never seen a dinosaur in real life. I think that was confusing to me. Maybe it was a joke or something, but I think that was kind of lost in the entire thing, but other than that, I think her character was a lot better than his character.
I mean, she wasn't. I mean, she wasn't unlikable, but my whole thing was, just like I said, if you're gonna make a character, a certain race or a gender, or sexuality, it has at least let it make sense. Don't just add it in there.
That's true. I think there always needs to be a lot of thought into who your characters are, especially like if a screenplay was developed with certain characters, then you should probably stick to the way the characters were developed and not change it last minute or add this little detail, because then, like you said, it does get lost in the story, because then the author or whoever wrote the screenplay didn't plan for that and therefore didn't include any of those things in the development of each character in the movie. What I will say, it kind of felt like High School Musical 3-ish, where maybe maybe these two characters are are the next ones in line. In the third movie of High School Musical, you get introduced to the new Sharpay and the new Zac Efron and the new Vanessa Hudgens.
Nobody can replace those three.
Exactly, no one can replace those three, but they definitely tried in High School Musical 3. They never came back to it. They might soon. I think I hear things like that in rumors. But definitely, and I hope it doesn't happen in the third installment of this trilogy. But definitely, it maybe felt like maybe he was supposed to be Claire, and he was Grady. I mean, she was Grady. The strong personality versus the indoor girl, as they would say in Titanic. They wanted basically that. And just thinking about it right now, I feel like perhaps it was homage to the differences in Michael Crichton's book versus the adaptation of Jurassic Park. Because you think about it, Lex and Tim, right? Think about it. They've always had the child characters, right? One's strong, one's weak, right? And they always try to turn them around, because in the book, the boy, Tim, he's actually the baseball player who's the strong-willed person, and Lex is supposed to be, the girl character. But in the movie, Steven Spielberg chose to flip the personalities of those two characters. And then again, we see that whenever they introduce the characters in the Jurassic World, one's this more weak character, perhaps more emotional, versus the stronger one, quote unquote. So I can see where they've kind of ran with that sort of energy, I guess, that the characters have, because like I said, Grady and Claire were the same type of energy, right? But then towards the end, then they both become, especially I guess in Jurassic World, they both become badasses, which I kind of appreciate, because I don't think that was ever truly resolved in Jurassic World. I mean, the first Jurassic Park movie, I'm not saying in the book, but in the movie, it wasn't completely resolved in that way. But like I said, it feels like we're passing the torch on. I hope it really doesn't work out that way. Perhaps we're going to get new characters. I kind of feel bad. I kind of like the characters from the first movie. I would have liked to see the kids return in some capacity, the guy and then the little boy. I mean, he's a good actor too. And maybe he was busy, filming those other movies that he filmed, which I hear are good. I haven't seen them, but I do support him as an actor. I think he's a great actor, and he did a good job in Jurassic World. But I mean, it did feel like, and it was a different director with a different take on things. So I can see where I think you get a lot of those disconnects.
Yeah, I was surprised that both the kids didn't appear somehow in this movie.
Yeah, because then at least Jurassic World, at least they appeared as a cameo, right?
Yeah, I mean, well, you know what? I think the reason why is because the other kid was filming Avengers 4.
The little boy?
Yeah, because he was in Iron Man 3.
Oh,
and he was filming Avengers 4 for his role.
I guess. I mean, it couldn't have been that big where he had to can take 2 days to film a cameo in Jurassic World: Fallen Kingdom.
Hey, Marvel, they like to do it big.
That's true, and they probably have some clause because it's Universal against Disney, basically.
Anywho, oh yeah, where did I leave off? Oh yeah, so they go to the island, and that's when shit starts to go south. Owen meets Blue. They have a very touching moment. and then the douchebag hunters are supposed to help them. They end up taking out Blue, and Owen tries to go after them, and he gets shot too, and he's knocked out cold. And the island's already about to, crumble to pieces because the volcano's exploding. And Owen wakes up somehow, and somehow gets himself out of that mess. He meets up with what's her fucking name, Claire, and the other kid, and they get the fuck out of there. They I'm backtracking a little bit. Owen is running out of the forest, like in the trailer. What the fuck? Sorry, my cat just jumped on the damn table. He's running out of the forest like in the trailer, telling one, get out, move. And that's when the dinosaurs are following him, and they all end up jumping off a cliff into the water. He meets with them because they're stuck in that little glass bubble thing, and he gets them out. They get onto the main land, and they find where the boats and the ships are. They get on, which culminates in the single saddest, most heartbreaking scene in the history of cinema.
Agreed.
Where they turn around, all the dinosaurs are on the boat except for one, which is a brontosaurus. And the brontosaurus is like, pretty much just like, why'd you leave me? We could have been friends. We could have had something special. To where you just see the smoke cover the brontosaurus, and it's completely gone. Whose fucking idea was it to greenlight that scene?
Steven Spielberg.
Yeah, Steven Spielberg's a piece of shit. That's probably more sad than anything that happened in Angela's Ashes or Sophie's Choice. Or what was that Nazi movie that he did? Was it Sophie's Choice or was it Schindler's List?
Schindler's.
Okay, that was sadder than Schindler's List.
Yeah. It was like absolutely like the worst scene, for my emotions.
It's like, you did not need to add that scene in the movie. That was unnecessary. God damn it, my mic keeps falling. That was completely unnecessary, and I don't even know how to feel. I don't think I'll watch that movie anymore because of that scene alone. It was just, wow. We're crying over a fake dinosaur. So, anyways, you want to take over?
Yeah. So this is actually where the movie changes beats. I would say, right?
Yeah.
So I think wasn't it I would categorize that animal as a brontosaurus, but I think the brachiosaurus, but I think brachiosauruses have been renamed, right, to apatosauruses or something like that. So I don't know. I used to be very into and know every genus of dinosaur. But if we were doing old school, I think it was Brachiosaurus. Just to be a nerd.
Yeah, I heard about that a while back, that the Brontosaurus' name got changed, or somebody's name got changed.
Yeah, the Brachiosaurus. They all kind of look, if we're talking little kid language, the long necks, right? If we're talking Land Before Time, another sad film.
I haven't watched that film in ages for obvious reasons.
There was a very big homage here, I would say. There was other ones throughout the film, but here was a very big one. There was one where they first stopped in front of the visitor center, and Claire embraced the scientist woman. What was her name in the film? Zia. So she embraced Zia, much like Ellie Sattler embraced Alan Grant when he first saw the dinosaurs, and she cried that they're real, they're beautiful. So that was a great homage, and it was also with a brachiosaur or apatosaurus or whatever they're called now. So that was a great homage. And this very sad scene we just talked about, the same animal, and he actually gets on his hind legs, much like in the film where he gets up to get that piece of tree that he was going to eat. So I felt it was an homage at the same time as being very, 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 very sad. So it was kind of like, okay, now part 2. And so we get to it. So it cuts back after that very sad scene where they're, waiting around in the ship that's going to take them somewhere. They don't know where. Presumably still towards an island that Claire was told where the animals would go in a sanctuary, basically. Yeah. At this point, they're like doubting the authenticity of this claim. They don't know who's behind it, but they definitely believe that there's something else going on because it's very militarized type of ordeal going on with them. So they're all hiding out. They decide to go around, look for their friend Zia, who's taking care of Blue at this time, the raptor. They meet up with her. They say that she tells them, she needs to care for this animal. She needs to do a blood transfusion during a surgery, so she needs blood. She tells them that the only animal that's perhaps closely capable of having the same type of blood, and this brought up, I guess, the genetics type of question, but yes, I guess closely related type of blood on the ship was, you might have guessed it, a Tyrannosaurus Rex. Yes. So this scene, so they go up to a sedated Tyrannosaurus Rex, Grady, Owen Grady, and Claire. And so their task, she's a badass now, so she takes a lot of the lead here too. They get up there. She had told Zia that she's done some blood drive in the past, which is hilarious. And so they tell her to, get this blood from the Tyrannosaurus Rex. Just thinking like a kid would, how do you even get blood out of such thick skin from a dinosaur, And so...
it's a movie.
It is a movie. You suspend all belief, and especially in Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom, every bit of belief you have, you must suspend above 10 meters above your head. So she somehow gets it, and rodeo style, which is funny. I think what I appreciate about this film is that many times Chris Pratt laughed, and you could tell that it was not a planned scene. It was very obvious that it was not a scene where he should have laughed, and he laughed. So he laughed at this scene, and you could tell they kept the take, and which is actually, I feel made it a little bit more authentic to me, because I laughed thinking about the moment where he laughed. So she gets the blood. They go back to Zia, and I think the guy's name Franklin, maybe, I don't know. So he's there too, and so they basically take the bullet out. You get all this is it a cross scene? I don't remember now. It's a cross scene with the granddaughter, a supposed granddaughter at this point of the friend of Hammond. She's watching a video, and basically she's watching a video. She sees the relationship between Chris Pratt and Blue, and it overlays with this scene where you hear Chris Pratt talking about Blue being the smartest animal, the future. She's very she's kind. She has empathy. Another sad scene was done here, I believe. So it was definitely very sad with that overlay of speech from him. And so eventually, she's going to be okay. Blue's going to be okay. And the next morning, they try to hide again, but they get caught at this point because they finally arrived at their mysterious location. On their way out, Franklin gets pulled aside because they think he's another ship hand, and he disappears. At this point in the film is where he disappears. And so Zia is still with the animals, specifically Blue, and then Chris Pratt and Bryce Howard, they get on they got on one of the trucks, and then they roll out, and then they eventually let's see where this goes, and then they're driving, and some guy actually recognizes them, which they obviously they should have worn more disguise, but whatever, it's a film. That's how we get to point from A to B, right? So they didn't. They were caught, but they saw that they were at Hammond's friend's estate that you see from the beginning of the movie, where she goes over to his house. And so at this point, crazy things are going to go on. You already heard in the film that they're going to try to auction off the animals to create a budget so that they can develop a more dangerous dinosaur, specifically the Indoraptor, created by Mr. Wu himself, Dr. Wu.
That piece of shit.
The fabulous Jurassic Park employee who's still alive to this day in this universe. And so you hear about this basically animal trafficking, which is a whole new direction that Jurassic Park is going. They kind of touched on it, I think, in Lost World, which this is basically a recreation of that. So they touched on it, but they stuck to their guns and they said that they were going to put the animals in a new zoo. Here, they said they were going to go to an animal sanctuary, but instead they're trafficking in animals. And so I get it. People want to buy them. You know, how they're going to care for them, I thought about it while watching the movie. Who knows? If you have $10 million to drop on an animal, then you must have $10 more million to care for it. I don't have any sort of that amount of money, so I wouldn't know. Or hunt them. I don't know. These people were buying them for many different reasons, and so, or auctioning them off for those reasons. So we cut to the scene of, you know, Chris Pratt and Bryce Dallas Howard being stuck in one of the cages because they're imprisoned, and they're basically the bad guy of the film. He's just like, well, you know, as far as anyone's concerned, these people are dead already, so AKA kill them now. And they ended up not getting killed off quite yet, and then it cuts, you know, between the auctioneers, and it cuts back to, you know, the granddaughter being very upset. She witnesses her grandfather being smothered, right? Is this what it's called? Smothered?
Yeah.
He gets smothered, which is like crazy. What a way to go, I guess, you know, and by the bad guy of the film. And, you know, at first you think like, did the grandpa really know? But then you know, get rid. It resolves whenever you see him, like, say, you know, call the cops. I'm not going to have this in my own home. I can't believe you did this. So it like redeems him at some point. But kind of like the bad guy said, no one's free of sin. So I mean, you find this out later during, you know, the escape scene, I would say. Later on, you know, Chris Pratt, Bryce Dallas Howard, they get an idea to escape. They use one of those, what are the dinosaurs called? With the head, you know, they get him to, you know, basically
I don't
bust
know,
a hole.
I don't know what it's called, but it looks like a Pokemon.
Yeah, it does look like a Pokemon, but, you know, I don't know. I forgot. It's in the first movie, too. Actually, it's in the second movie. They escape. They're on a run. At this point, they create chaos. And I will say this. I think Owen Grady really caused a lot of what happened next to some extent. Because he lets that animal loose. He puts him on an elevator, puts him in the auction scene, which causes, you know, these are bad people anyways, who are being killed off. It's people with a lot of money that get killed off.
It's called a Pachycephalosaurus.
Yeah. Yes, that's what it is. And so he puts that animal in an elevator for fun, I guess, and he starts, you know, bumping off all these people while the Indoraptor is in the same room. They're trying to get rid of the Indoraptor back to its cage, or being sold off, because they had just sold off the Indoraptor for quite some money, I think $40 million or something. So if not more. And so he stops it from being sent out, creates a big commotion. Everyone is rushing out of the house. You see more of the complex. I was talking to some people. They're like, he didn't build this factory underneath the nose of his employer, which was John Hammond's friend. John Hammond and him, in the script of the movie, they had built this facility before they built, you know, InGen, before they built, like, according to the film's canon, which is different, obviously, from the books. And the books are a whole different conversation, I think. But they had built this facility, and they reactivated the facility in order to create these militarized dinosaurs, which when I had seen the trailers and I had first heard about the film, I purposely did not do a lot of investigating to see what the plot would be. But in my belief, I thought it was going to be, you know, a pseudo war movie. Not the first act, because the first act was always going to be the destruction of Isla Nublar. But I always believed that it was going to be a pseudo military movie where we were going to see the Indoraptors take people out and hunt people down. more so than they do in this film. This movie ends up being more like a monster film. You kind of hit the nose on the head earlier when you mentioned that, because it feels very like a horror film, because you're in a house, you have this creature following you, and he's very good at what he does, or she is actually, right? All the genetic animals from Wu are females, and so she's very good at what she does. You can point a rifle, you can put a dot on you with a laser, and as soon as you give the signal with a sound, then the animal attacks you and will only... they insinuate that the animal only attacks you, but even after doing that, the animal attacks like everyone. So, I mean, it was in a prototype stage anyway, so... And then Blue is important because the animals need to learn, from Blue. So what Wu is planning, I guess, in this film, and perhaps maybe the next film, is that he was going to use Wu in order to tell Blue something, and then Blue would tell the other raptors something. And that way you can get full compliance from the raptors, because you saw the videos where the raptors were paying attention because Blue was telling them to pay attention to Chris Pratt's character. And so after the destruction of the lab, there's a big chase scene around the museum that's inside, which is beautiful, by the way. Like, if I ever had a home, it would be that one, with the dinosaur exhibit in it. But definitely, it feels like a more hard chase scene, which is not inappropriate to me. I appreciate it. I don't mind the movie going in that direction. I know a lot of people, I think, had issues with the entire film in the sense that it's the characters, the human characters, that perhaps took the main stage in this film versus the animal characters. But that's a discussion that we'll probably have. And then, so after that chase scene, you figure out that the girl is actually John Hammond's daughter. I mean, not John Hammond's daughter, John Hammond's friend's daughter. And this is where we've had the discussion. So I believe that the daughter did die at a very young age when she was young, right? And therefore, she died in the car accident, like we're told. But in the movie, the girl thinks that her mom grew up and then she died in the car accident and she left her. What ends up happening is that you figure out that the daughter is a clone of his daughter. I mean, the granddaughter is a clone of his daughter, which is actually just makes her his daughter. Yeah. And she happens to be the same age that she died. That's my interpretation of the film. I think some people could interpret that that his daughter grew up and that she cloned her and she has to grow up again, right?
Yeah.
I interpret that she died as a kid, the same age as the girl would be now, and then she's growing up again and just happens to be the same age that the photo she finds was taken. So I think I see it that way now, but I mean, you could interpret it both ways. They would still make sense in the timeline, I think, because the photo's from like the 70s, right? And then, he waited obviously until the technology caught up so that he can clone whatever DNA he kept from his daughter, like a lock of hair or whatever. So he probably, I mean, if we see like a book based on this movie, it probably mentions something like that or go into depth. And then so after that moment, you figure out like that there's been an explosion inside the lab, and it's taking this chemical, what is it called? Whatever that.
What is it? Liquid hydrogen or nitrogen or something like that?
Yeah, but it insinuates like an actual poison in the air. Cyanide, liquid cyanide or something like that.
Might be that, yeah.
So that's going into the whole entire lab, and the dinosaurs are trapped in the lab, the ones who have not been sold or shipped off. And so Claire comes to this moment where she's like, I can unlock all the doors. She starts unlocking the doors. Chris Pratt tells her, be careful. And, at the last moment when you think she's going to hit that button to open the doors to the outside, he's again, says, be careful. This is something you cannot reverse. And so she is shy from hitting the button, and they're out looking at the dinosaurs as they struggle to leave. And that would have been such a sadder scene. Actually, I would have made me mad that they actually watched the dinosaurs struggle until they died. I would have not witnessed an animal struggling to stay alive, knowing that they can't. I would have just walked away at that point. I don't know. That's just my personal.
It's like Jurassic World 2. We're gonna fucking make you cry because we hate you.
And so they're watching the animals struggle but die, which I think is just. It wasn't sad to me. It was just more angrily, or it made me more angry. And so then you see the green light like shine on the door, and the doors start opening, and they both turn back, and it's a little girl, and she's like, "They're alive, just like me," and that's why she pressed the button because she believes in clone rights. So if the third movie is like no dinosaurs whatsoever, it's going to be about clone rights. And we talked about this a little bit after the film, like the movie The Sixth Day, like what rights does a clone have, basically. And I think they touched on it in the beginning of the film when they say the reason we're not saving these animals is because they are clones, and also they were cloned because of a private company's venture, and therefore they weren't. They basically insinuate that they don't have rights as animals because they were not real to begin with. They're clones, and they were cloned by a private company. So it ends in that way. People do get their just desserts. The bad guy of the film gets torn apart by an Allosaurus and the T-Rex, which is a jump scare in itself. It was a great jump scare after you think he survives. And then Blue has a moment with Chris, and he says, come with me, we'll take you somewhere safe, and she chooses to be in the wild. And then it kind of...
She just peaced out.
Yeah, and then we get a forward and a back speech from Ian Malcolm, so he gets another speech where he's being heard as a scientist from the U.S. committee, on whatever it is, dinosaurs, I guess, at this point. And he just says, his final line, "Welcome to Jurassic World. We created this place where we have to watch out for, we're back in competition with dinosaurs." And it kind of ends with the dinosaurs kind of roaming everywhere in the world, and then cut to the credits, cut to the after scene, which is about 2 seconds long, which I'm still for, even though it was very short. But it's just saying that the pterodactyls or any related animal to that sense lands in Las Vegas. So that's a great thing. I don't know. Many directions.
Would you say the sequel is going to be Flintstones Viva Rocks Vegas?
I would like it to be. Maybe this was just maybe this is a prequel to that.
Yeah, that post-credit scene, it was like, what was the point of adding that, though? Why not just make that the ending?
Well,
or add that in the montage of the ending.
I think they should have added to the montage of the ending because you see Blue in the desert, and they're in Northern California. I mean, it was only a couple of hours and like a couple days that they arrived in Las Vegas, I think that the joke was that you thought that they've migrated all the way to Paris because it was the top of the Eiffel Tower, which is miniature when you really look at it, but then zooms out and they're in Vegas. So I think it could have very well been in that last scene you're talking about, and no one would have blinked, because that's what it was showing, the last scene. So I'm not sure why they chose to keep that scene right at the end, but I can only say that the Lost World ended in the same way, where you see actually the both not all movies ended that way, right? With pterodactyls flying. The first one didn't. The second one did. No, the first one did also, right? I'm trying to remember now. When they're flying in the helicopter, they look out. Do they see the pterodactyls flying?
I don't remember.
I can't remember.
I don't remember. I know they get in the plane and they fly away.
I know in the second one they show the pterodactyls flying, and then they show like a living, breathing dinosaur island basically. But I think what I liked is that they included the destruction of the island, which in the original book, they include the destruction of the island, except for in the destruction of the island they nuke it basically. So I like that they included that.
So for the third one, they have to bring back people from the first one, and also from the first Jurassic World, and also bring back people from the first Jurassic Park.
Well, yeah, they're keeping their formula because in the third movie, that's where Alan Grant and Ellie Sattler return.
Yeah, you have to bring Alan Grant back to this movie, to Jurassic World 3.
I'm hoping he's down for it. I know Laura Dern has said that she just needs an invitation. She's been waiting for one. It's sad that they don't really want to include her character,
Which I don't see why.
Yeah, she would be great, and I thought she was just like wasted in the third movie, just by being like his savior, basically.
And bring back Sam Jackson because they can. Be like, that motherfucking raptor trying to eat my arm. I'm gonna kill that motherfucker. Because of Sam Jackson.
I just the guy who played the auctioneer guy, evil.
Yeah, he was a piece of shit.
Yeah.
Are you talking about Toby Jones?
Was it him, the short guy?
Yeah, he was what is it? Red Skull's assistant in Captain America.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, that guy always plays a dick and everything.
I mean, it's like you said, like, you just know some people are not typecast, but they definitely have a character they play.
And then the actual bad guy, who was just like, he got bad, like, really fast. He didn't waste time, trying to be nice. Like, as soon as they gave him an opportunity, he became bad.
People might agree with this statement, but I felt it was definitely a Frozen moment. And he even looks like the Frozen character.
Oh, do you mean Han?
Yeah, he's like very nice to not Anna, whatever her name is, and don't you feel like it was like a Frozen like revelation where like it's this nice prince that's gonna sweep her off her feet, and then all of a sudden he turns out evil and he locks her in a cold room.
Yeah, that's exactly what it was kind of like. Now that I think about it, I didn't think of it that way, but it was just like, I don't know, that guy got evil like really quick. Like he already revealed his evil plan, and then he kills what's his name, the owner of the house, and then he kills him, and then he tells the mom, just go away, your services are no longer required. And then he's telling her, make sure she stays locked in that room the whole night. It's like, holy fuck.
I know, he was crazy. Like, granted, there was like 3 people living in the house. The daughter, the Hammond's friend. What was his name? I don't know. Something Wood, right?
I think Woodlock or something?
Yeah.
Or Lockwood? One of those
Lockwood. Like, so, granted there was just that, but, his business dealings had to have shown somewhere. But, he did state in the movie, he gave me basically complete control of the company to do as I wish, because he thought I was like this young, nice person, which you turned out not to be.
So, I don't know. But yeah,
I don't know.
the big payoff was seeing him get eaten by the T-Rex.
Honestly. I thought about, like, what if we get, like, a Jurassic Park story next?
What do you mean?
Like we get a reboot, much like the Star Wars reboot, where like they start giving stories of just singular characters or a side story. Kind of like, have you ever played that point and click game Jurassic Park the Game by Telltale Games or whatever?
I haven't actually.
If they put that into a film, that would be like Rogue One, right? And if they make like a character on like Alan Grant's like growing up, or I don't know, or some side story related to this film about dinosaurs, then we would get our Solo film.
Or Owen Grady.
Owen Grady, maybe growing up with the dinosaurs. That would be the Solo.
What do you think about that? Have you heard that theory that he's the fat little kid from part 1, where he's talking about the raptor, and he says it looks like a giant turkey?
I know people like disprove that a lot, but that's a good theory. It's just like you never find out the kid's name. The time is correct from what I've heard, that people that talk about the theory. But it would be funny if it was, because he really got a lot of respect. Look at him now. If that indeed was him, but there's like not much backstory. It would be great if you saw like, Grady, a Jurassic Park story, and you saw him go from talking about turkeys all the way to getting involved with Mizrahi.
But do you really think those would sell? Because the Star Wars spin-offs sell because they're in space. With Jurassic Park, it's like we're calling this a Jurassic Park story, but there's no Jurassic Park. There's no dinosaurs. We're just talking about the people. If there was like a prequel where it shows John Hammond and his friend trying to get the place started, and then it shows they're falling out, and then it obviously ends with the park opening, leading into Jurassic Park 1, that would make sense.
Oh, that would be a great one. I mean, I would watch it, like I said earlier in this show, is that, I mean, Jurassic Park, I solely believe in that story and by Michael Crichton. Like, his only two books are Jurassic Park and The Lost World. Those are canon to me as far as the books are concerned, and the movies are way different than that. However, I do believe in the marketing. You've been to my room. I actually wanted to buy a banner, like the When Dinosaurs Rule the World banner. But
Yeah.
the size I wanted was a 30-foot by 10-foot one, and I was maybe gonna put it in my loft or just trying to put it up in my room, like around my room, because I love like anything related to the movies and or the book. And I know that there's vast differences. I know there's a lot of critics to especially to non-original films, but what I have to say is this. Like we talked about a little bit earlier, it's you do what you like, and if you like it, then you're entitled to like what you like. Just because you're not some critic savant who knows every detail about every movie ever made and therefore can judge every film that's been ever released. It's like this. It's like having a professor in a doctorate level judge a high school sophomore's term paper.
Yeah.
Right? I'm not saying that this movie's trash. I'm saying like it's not even meant to be the same. Like, the director, maybe he did sit around and say he was going to make some Oscar-winning movie, or in the sense that we think of Oscar-winning movies, because they can win for any category, correct? But when we think of, Oscar movies, Titanic, when we think of Schindler's List, like, they weren't trying to make a Schindler's List. They're not trying to make a Titanic. Maybe closer to Titanic.
It's like it's a movie about dinosaurs. Like,
yes,
the point of the movie is that it's a popcorn flick. It's supposed to be entertaining. You want it to be good. You don't want it to suck. At the same time, you're not looking for some exquisite indie film about the tale of a young man trying to find his way through Jurassic Park.
Yes,
no, you're not.
I think what's more fair to people too is that just because you say you love something, or if you sit around or someone comes up to you, around the water cooler, I'd say, right, an old term, someone comes up to you at work and says, did you like the movie? And you say, yeah, I loved it. It doesn't mean that you did not notice the things that were wrong with it. It doesn't mean that you're not upset or you're not, criticizing certain pieces of it, but at the end of the day, like, you liked the movie. You sat there, you paid for what you watched, and you enjoyed it. It's not always just about what the movie is showing you. It's sometimes the experience. I got to go to the film with my coworkers, and I went to the film with good friends of mine. I enjoyed that aspect. I like how that movie brought me together with those people. That's what I enjoyed about it. So it's unfair, I think, to ask someone, did you like the movie, and immediately get judged for saying yes, which happens to be the norm, right? Like, that people who are trashy or people who are not educated supposedly like trash movies. And I've had this like and this is like deep, right? I've had this thought in my mind for a very long time, because I enjoy reality TV. I can watch Bad Girls Club. I can watch Project Runway. I can watch anything you put out there because it's fun to watch. Sometimes I'm not going to sit here and watch every Criterion film that's available on Hulu. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I can do that too, and I have a wider range of likes that I have. But because I sit around and say, oh yeah, like, did you watch Bad Girls Club last night? Like, doesn't make me a trash person, and doesn't make anyone who enjoys anything that's deemed like basically we want to make we try so hard as a human race, or even as a society here in the U.S. to rate you based on what you like, right? Like to say that you're worthless because you like a certain type of film or a certain type of TV show. That's I don't think that's very correct or very human of you, because you're not better because you like certain books, because you like certain I don't know, like certain just certain things, right? And I have a lot of friends, I think, or friends, right? I use that word loosely sometimes, to say that they really stick to that rating system of people. And I often am the one who says, you know what does it matter? Or I'll be the one to, put myself out there and say, yeah, I do like that, and what? What does it change about me? And now, when we get into the sense of like political films or anything like that, then yes, that does say what you believe, right? Propaganda, right? If you love certain pieces of propaganda, then yes, then it tells a lot about you. But if you happen to, enjoy YouTube, YouTubers out there in the world, if you like to enjoy drama channels because they're funny in the way they make jokes, then I think that's fine. I think that is you, and that's your choice, and it doesn't mean that you're not observant of the things that are, or not smart enough to make determinations about what's wrong with a film and what could be done differently. And I take offense to it sometimes when people try to test that from you, getting a message saying did you like the film? I didn't. Or sometimes the contrary opinion doesn't make you look smarter. Unfortunately, for some people, that's their mode. I've worked with a lot of people in my other job, not my job I just spoke about earlier, but in my other job, I've worked with attorneys, I've worked with advocates, I've worked with people, and the best ones have an opinion that's informed, right?
Yeah.
The ones that don't help the people I work for, don't help the people I work with. They're the ones who think because they have an opposing opinion that will win a case, or that will win the situation, just because you disagree with everything that that someone is saying. And in this case, in my connection here, I'm saying just because you disagree with all the popular opinion, and I say this being a hipster, which a lot of hipsters disagree with the popular opinion or are opposed to it, doesn't make you any smarter. Hipsters are not any smarter just because they don't like certain things that are popular. Just because I don't like the most popular brands, I do. I'm just me. I can't be anyone else but me. But so I just like a bunch of things, and whether that makes me a hypocrite or not, that's up to you.
You've always been Mr. Fancy Pants.
But at the same time, I love thrifting. I love thrifting for anything. Yeah. I love getting good deals. I buy expensive stuff when I like it. It's because I like it. I buy things because I like them. If they're expensive or inexpensive, that's up to me to decide if it's going to be part of my budget. You know what I mean? Better if they're cheap, honestly.
Like for me, I wouldn't really say I'm a hipster. My whole thing is, I get turned off when I hear people, say, you have to watch this. This is the greatest thing ever. I'm like, why? Because blah, 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 blah. I'm like, okay. And then I watch it, and I'm like, it was alright. It's like, I'm not a fan of Game of Thrones. I never got into that. I don't hate Star Wars. I'm okay with it. I watch them, but I'm not the biggest fan of Star Wars. Or Harry Potter or Lord of the Rings or anything like that. It's just, when I hear people just go on and on about how amazing it is, it just turns it off. I just get turned off by it. Now, Marvel, it's different because I've always liked Marvel. I've always been a Marvel guy. I grew up, on superheroes, so that's different. But, anything else that I'm not familiar with, and I hear people, put it over like it's the next big thing, that's what, I start to, become almost a detractor of it.
Yeah, I guess to go with that point as well is that I hate it to the point where it becomes elitist, where people start saying that if you don't like this, then there must be something wrong with you, or you know what I mean? I think that's deeper than they mean it, because because it is like you're making it a requirement to be part of the smarter group to like this thing that you're saying. This movie, this book, this idea. You're saying, this is the standard, and there really isn't any besides, you being a very intellectual person. Intellectual person, I don't think it's not all about what you know. That's only part of intelligence. It's about how you go about living your life, and those other, I believe in like different types of intelligences. I mean, that's how I was trained, and knowledge is only part of that. And so it's not about what you've watched or what you prefer to watch. Not always. Yes, I think if we're going to go down that route, I think if you're playing devil's advocate, then you can say, oh, but, if you watch this, and this, that it could be indicative of personality disorder, or someone who's depressed, yes, or someone who is a racist, or someone, yes, that's true. That's very true. And I think, when it gets to those points, then it's an issue. But if you're living within your normal limits, that's perfectly up to you. I just hate elitism. I think it's a big issue, I think, in our world. And I feel like it's cases like this movie that bring out elitism in people. Yeah. Because you're not part of the group of people that are smarter than you because you didn't like Coco, right? Like, right? Literally, that's how it is. I mean, I love that movie, Coco. I love a lot of Disney. I'm a Disney fanboy at heart, and Universal too, just in movies in general. But definitely, when people try to use it, I think people should have all their own opinions, but don't try to use it as a way to categorize yourself above others.
You know where that applies to as well. Wrestling fans. Yeah,
I can see that.
Because you're not. I know you're not familiar with what's going on, lately, but let me fill you in. There's WWE, which is the giant. Mm-hmm. No one's ever gonna top WWE. You can be better than WWE. It's kind of like McDonald's and Whataburger. McDonald's is the biggest fast food, burger chain in the world. Mm-hmm. Whataburger, a lot of people would say Whataburger is better than McDonald's. That's true, but it's not bigger than McDonald's. So with WWE, they're the biggest, wrestling company in the world. This, the one that's, becoming more popular and the ones that, fans are starting to go to more is NJPW, which is New Japan Pro Wrestling. So, a lot of people within the wrestling community, me, I'm a WWE fan. I don't give up. I'm not gonna pretend, and be a New Japan fan, which I've watched, a couple New Japan matches and events, and I liked them. I thought, they were very entertaining to watch. I can see why people like them, because when you watch it, they treat it more like a competition in a sport, whereas WWE, it's basically just, they treat it like a movie. Like, it's called sports entertainment, according to them. They can't say wrestling on their own television show or something. So, that's how wrestling fans work. If you say you like WWE or you defend, a WWE wrestler, you'll have what's known as a mark or a smark, which are, wrestling fans that, kind of take it too seriously, that'll just go, oh yeah, well, they're not better than Okada, which is a Japanese wrestler. And he'll go, oh yeah, well, that match wasn't better than Okada versus Naito in the Tokyo Dome 2 years ago. It's like, did you actually watch that? Were you there? It's like, no, but I read it in PWI, which is Pro Wrestling Illustrated. So, I don't know. With wrestling fans, it's like you're not allowed to like something else, because then that applies you're a shill, that you're a company shill, and that you don't like the quote unquote real wrestling. Which, spoiler alert, it's fake.
No.
Gasp! It's fake. They're not actually beating each other up. That's UFC, which I'm not a fan of either. But I get what you're saying. With movies like these, these big blockbuster movies like, Jurassic Park and Marvel, it just seems like you hear more and more of these stories about how like directors will kind of snub their nose at these movies, like, oh, that's not a real movie. It's like, okay, here's a point I've always made about when it comes to independent movies and blockbuster movies. People are going to want to pay $10, $14 to go see the newest Marvel movie or the newest Star Wars movie because they're entertaining. They put asses in seats. They make money. You're not going to want to pay $7 to go watch Moonlight or Billboards Outside of Missouri or whatever the fuck it's called.
That's a good movie.
You're not hearing my point though.
Yes.
They are good movies.
Yeah.
But you're not going to want to go pay money to go see them.
Yeah, their strategies are completely different. They're all art to me. However, there is more nuanced art that comes from these cultural films, right? Like Moonlight, like you mentioned, Three Billboards Outside of Missouri. Those type of independent films where they're seeking to give a message, versus the other films that they're for your entertainment, right? Like FYE,
Yeah.
the company. So some of them are for your entertainment, some of them are to give you to pass along a message. And I think what's so funny that you say that, I think it's very true. Because people try to categorize them in this, and maybe we should have like in the future where movies are different. Like movies are not just movies. I think films and movies are different. Maybe Moonlight and Three Billboards, those are films, right? And movies are Marvel, Star Wars, Jurassic Park. Maybe there could be a difference in one point, because I think there is a difference, because the end goal is not money grabs. Yes, they're money grabs, but they're for your entertainment. They're many times in history, people have been there for entertainment, and they have been there for messages. And sometimes they're one and the same. I would argue maybe Shakespeare did a lot one and the same. He made art, and he gave his messages subliminally to some, overly to others, depending on whether you got what he was saying or not. About the current times. And so people can do both. I'm not saying it's not possible, but sometimes you want to see the gesture in front of the king. Sometimes you want to see the theater, do a ballet. So it's nuanced in the sense that we've combined them together to be just entertainment or just be movies. And perhaps it's worth considering the differences between what their end goal is. Because I will say this: if we talk about again Jurassic Park and the universe that it falls within, Michael Crichton, he wrote a book, right? And he put a lot of messages in this book about his beliefs. And I think if you truly read the book, and I recommend it, and I always do, if you read Jurassic Park, there's so much philosophical theory in it, not just mathematical theory, that he inserts, that you truly believe. Like a lot of the foundations of what you believe philosophically are in Jurassic Park, the book. So in that sense, that's art to me. Like he was trying to give a message with this story of dinosaurs being genetically made, right? Copied or cloned. But if you really, especially Ian Malcolm, that's why I love Ian Malcolm's character. He provides a lot of that point of view in the book. The whole book is set up to be the Dragon Curve. He has this theory about how 1 day, 1 hour, 1 lifetime, they're the same. So it's. I recommend the book. I think you'll get, the discussion where what the differences are between, what the studios are hoping for, what they're selling, because they are selling different things to people, right? Because I do have the choice, like you said. I have the choice to pay money to go see this because I think there's a message in it, or I want this because I want to be entertained and I love the storyline, I love the products. There is definitely like a different. Not that they're both not art. They're both art because they're medias of art, right? Film is a media art. Pictures, photographs, right? There's a difference between pictures and photographs, perhaps. Maybe it's a discussion that it's about the way we use language. And it's funny because I have a book in front of me. It's called The Use and Misuse of Language. So I love the way language is used as well. So maybe it's a discussion that's related to that. But like you said, it's about what they're trying to give the audience.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, I'm a movie buff in general. I like all types of movies. There's the movies I know I'm going to watch, and then there's the movies that I see and I go, that looks like it's going to be interesting. Like, probably the best non, like, superhero or blockbuster movie I've seen recently was, it was called Wind River. Wind River with Jeremy Renner, Elizabeth Olsen.
I haven't watched it.
Yeah, it's really good. It's kind of like a crime, suspense type movie. Well, I wouldn't say suspense, but it has to do with crime, and I'm a huge junkie when it comes to crime. Like, not committing crime, but watching, TV shows and, movies about crime. And that looked interesting to me. I watched it, and I'm not going to get into what the whole movie's about. But I watched it, and it has one of those endings that's kind of like quick and to the point, where a lot of movies I watch, I'm so used to them just kind of dragging it out for the next 20 minutes. But in this movie, it has an ending where it's just like, well, we solved the problem, so that's it, and then it just cuts the credits. I'm like, well, that was interesting. I didn't expect that, but yeah, Wind River, I would suggest it's a really good movie. And, yeah, that's pretty much it for the topic. We were talking about Jurassic World. How would you rate Jurassic World, Fallen Kingdom?
I would give it anything that's above passing. So anything 7 to 10, just in that side of things. Even, I would just give it anything that's passing to me. Because like I said, like sometimes it's one of those classes where you do a pass-fail class, right? I'm sure everyone's been aware when you've been in school that there's this thing called pass-fail, right? Where you can turn your class if you think that your grade's not going to be so high, where as long as you pass the class, they'll say that you passed it on your transcript, and they won't actually put a letter grade to it. So I think that's what we're doing here, or at least what I'm doing with anything that's related to anything I like. It's pass-fail to me, and this movie passed.
How would you rank it with the 5 other Jurassic Parks?
Let's see. At this point, it's the 5th installment, so it'd be 1 out of 5. Or I mean, like it would be out of 5, correct? I would say maybe like 3 out of 5. It's not like the bottom. I think I love all the movies. So I always probably change my ratings. I mean, number 1 is always the first one. I have this emotional attachment to the first 3. So I mean, I just watch them in order. So I can't put them in a different order than the order they've been released.
Yeah, number 1, you can't touch that. I would put Jurassic World at number 2. I would put Lost World, the Jeff Goldblum one, at number 3. I would put Fallen Kingdom at number 4, and I would put the third one at number 5.
I kind of agree with you.
Yeah, because Part 3 I didn't really care for. I didn't hate it, but it's just one of those movies that's, very forgetful.
See, and the thing I like the most from it is that it actually included a lot of the scenes, I guess, or plots that they had in the first book that they didn't use, which in turn Jurassic World kind of used some of those plots as well. So that's why I kind of like Jurassic World, the first one too.
Yeah, Part 2 I actually liked with Jeff Goldblum. That was actually I think I almost liked it as much as the first one, because I thought it was interesting and that had a good plot. It was very entertaining. The scene where the dinosaur, where they have the T-Rex on the boat, and it's pulling up to the pier, but it's not stopping, and then it just crashes into everything, and you see everybody on the ship dead. Which I'm like, how did they all die?
Yeah, how the guy's hand just was in the captain's little nook. How did he even get in there and his hand just stuck to the wheel?
Like the
But-
T-Rex, like the T-Rex just kind of like muzzled his head around, like I'm just gonna kill everybody. It's like, no, that was probably the raptor more than anything.
To me, like I love the Lost World because I had all the toys from the Lost World.
Yeah. Hello. Hello.
Hey,
Oh.
oh yeah. So no, I was like thinking about the Lost World. I was just like, no, like Lost World was like my childhood. It seemed because, or like, like when I was like, I think the most fascinated. 'Cause I remember watching the first one as like a very little kid. I don't know how I have this memory in like the front row at what is now the Mayan, in the west side or southwest side. And then I watched this. I don't know where I watched the second movie. I can't remember, but I remember just knowing like every toy that was available for it, and then all the animals had a JP on the side, and I was like, "That's mine. That's my initials, right?" And then the third movie I remember watching when Cielo Vista had first opened. I think it's like one of the first movies, or I remember one of the first times going to Cielo Vista, which is the Regals on 410. But I don't know. I love that movie. A lot of people do hate it and consider it a downgrade. But definitely the third one's always hated the most. Just from what I've heard or seen. But definitely, I think the Jurassic World did a very good job of re-energizing the storyline, and the Fallen Kingdom, while it may not have been the perfect sequel to this new trilogy or the best movie in the world, I think is carrying the film. Maybe it's kind of like the Harry Potter films, right? Like a true Harry Potter fan, I don't think will ever admit that not all the movies are the greatest movies, or they will admit to you, but they're carrying the storyline, and we don't know the full storyline. The thing that happened with Harry Potter is that we kind of knew what was going on until it got to like the fourth book, where you kind of had to wait until the next book and then the movie and the next book and the movie. We kind of have to do the same thing at this point. We have to wait until what the next plot is. Like, we're not going to be able to know, especially if it's a trilogy or something where the storyline goes next. And it's not going to be until we're able to review all of the films together and see, how it ends up. If it's just merely carrying the film to the next film, then it does its job. But I mean, I want to see what's going to be, focused on. I think they left a few things to focus on. Genetic cloning, of course, of new dinosaurs. The rights of clones, cloning humans is something that they can also explore. Like I said, it could be like the 6 Day prequel. It could be, I mean, if you watch the 6 Day, Arnold Schwarzenegger, like there's no mention of dinosaurs, but who knows? They might have banned dinosaurs, and that's why they made the 6 Day law, right, where you can't clone humans. So I mean, that's possible. I mean, who knows?
Oh, you never know. Alright, so I'm going to get ready to bounce. I have to finish up this paper that I have due tomorrow, and then I'm going to finish up Luke Cage.
Tisk.
Season 2 of Luke Cage. It's a 4 to 5 page paper. I'm on 3 pages, so
Ooh.
I'm debating if I should just do 4 or if I should just go for the full 5.
Go for the full 5.
I'll see what I can do. And then finish Luke Cage, 3 episodes. This season's actually, a lot better than the first season. Not that the first season was bad, but this season is just, blows it out of the water. Apparently, I looked on IGN.com. It apparently got the worst rating out of every Netflix Marvel series.
I mean, I thought it was Monkey Fist or whatever.
You mean Iron Fist?
Iron Fist.
Yeah,
It's been exposed to the Marvel universe.
Yeah, Jesus, you're gonna hear from all the Marvel fans. They're gonna
I know.
rip
You're
right
gonna
into
get
you.
hate mail.
How do you not know about Iron Fist? He wrestled Okada back in the Tokyo Dome in '98.
No. Yeah, you got what I was saying. That's all you gotta say.
See, on that note, tell them about the development of the show.
So I got my feet moving finally, thanks to Drew. So I'm hopefully recording something very soon now that like I'm getting my subscriptions. Like I'm gonna figure out like where I upload, where I don't upload, or how I upload. So I'll do that once I did the recording, and I'll try to figure out how to edit it. But I mean, look out for username Jesus of Texas. That's all I can say for now. I haven't quite decided what it's gonna be named. I think I looked at a name randomly, and it was like already existing. So I guess I'm gonna have to look, to see whatever I choose is not taken.
So you're gonna like go for that as the show name, Jesus of Texas?
No, I mean that's gonna be my calling card, I guess, but definitely, I guess not the show name.
All right, yeah, I helped get him started. I already got him on his plan, and hopefully we hear something soon.
Hopefully you'll be hearing from me, and definitely nothing related to Marvel unless it has to do with Disneyland or Disney World. Because as far as the franchise, the movie universe, I'm a big fan, but I'm definitely not like one of the experts, I guess, that I know.
So yeah, Jesus, his show, I'm not sure what his show is going to be about. I know what he likes, I know what he's into, but it's going to be something completely different. So yeah, look out for that. I'm looking forward to it.
Yay.
As far as like plugs and sponsors, make sure you listen to the Arc Attack podcast, which against Jesus' wishes, I got to give them a shout out.
I'm on there, one of their episodes, so look out for me there too.
Yeah, he did an episode recently. I haven't listened to it yet. It's on my to-do list, along with a bunch of other podcasts. If you're into horror movies, Texas Podcast Massacre is the podcast for you. And Jesus, you like horror movies too, correct?
Oh yeah, I do.
Then listen to their podcast, Texas Podcast Massacre. They are available on Google Play, iTunes, Spotify, and they actually have their own website. And
nice.
And also, showing some love to the guys that got me started on this, and the reason why I'm here, Wrestling Soup, Don Tony, Kevin Castle show. You can hear their show as well, or Wrestling Soup. You can hear them on Google Play and iTunes, and they actually have their own app. Don Tony, Kevin Castle. You can hear them on Spreaker, and also sign up for their Patreon pages, which is literally just $5, with like a measly little $5. Do you have $5, Jesus?
Maybe.
You lying sack of shit. If you have $5, people, just sign up to their patrons. Don Tony, Kevin Castle, and Wrestling Suit.
Oh yeah.
All right, Jesus. Appreciate you being on, brother.
No worries. I always love being on.
All right, just let me know when you're going to start your show.
I will.
All right, take care, bro.
Take care.